Third phase of moon.
Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. My name's Blake Cousins, and we're doing a live Skype with Ben Henson from the famous TV show on the Sci-Fi Network, Fact or Fake, and he's also an ex-FBI agent. And we're going over Bill Clinton on the Jimmy Kimmel show in regards to his UFO statements. Is it possible that we're alone in the universe? Ben, thanks for joining us right here at Third Phase.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
All right, hey, it's good to have you here. You did this incredible video that you shared with us on our Facebook, Third Phase of Moon, about your analyzation of Bill Clinton and his body language. Tell us about your research and what you found out.
Yeah, well, like in the video, I first like to point out that I'm not an expert in the body language, but because I have interviewed thousands of perpetrators, victims, witnesses of crimes, I believe I'm a little bit more familiar than the average person with deception detection. And what I did was I took a look at this video, and it's really only about, I think, 2.5 minutes, the interview portion of where he's talking about UFOs. But a lot of people just passed by this so quickly. Oh, Bill Clinton says he doesn't know anything, right? But when you break it down and you take a look at each individual portion of the interview, each question, there's a whole lot to be told there. There's a whole other story. So primarily what I did is I focused on nonverbal communications. We also have a layered voice analysis that has been done, and I'll be posting that later. We use that on our show. We have an Israeli company that breaks down similar to voice stress analysis, but it came up with some very interesting findings as well. In my analysis, what we have is this. My professional opinion, and it is just my opinion, is that Bill Clinton was exhibiting a lot of stress on certain questions. There was also evidence that he was about to say things and then restrain himself from doing so. If you look towards the first part of the video, and if people want to pull that up and pull up the link, what you'll see is a couple questions where he asks him, first of all, what he did to look into the UFO, to the Roswell files. And he asked him, did he do that? Well, his first response is, sort of. And that's where you start to see this change in demeanor. The former president suddenly, who was very articulate, he's joking about cheese and about all these things, suddenly he becomes very rigid. You will see his hands on the side of the chair. You will see things such as a jaw flex, where his whole side of his face just flexes up and tenses. Each one of these things by itself really means nothing. But when you put this all together, he starts to stammer. He starts to put things out of chronological order. He starts doing what we call the mid-sentence jump. So he'll start into a sentence, and then he'll change and stop and go into something completely different. As if to say, whoa, I went too far there. You know, like I shouldn't be talking about this, and he backs away. So we see a lot of this through the interview, and then when he returns to things he's familiar with, it's amazing. It truly is amazing because he's using both hands to gesture again. And he's comfortable, he's joking around. And then there's a second part towards the end where Kimmel throws in some sarcasm. Because Bill's talking about, what does he say? He says something like, well, there were no aliens there, but if you look at, you know, what our world would become and how united we'd become if we had this and this and this, you know, and aliens came down to visit all of our differences. He's quoting basically Reagan from his UN speeches.
Yeah.
And Kimmel looks at him and says, oh, so you're trying to give me a hint there really are aliens. And at this point, I found some very interesting things. Clinton's hand, his left hand, actually jerks at that same time, and then he turns away, closes his eyes, which is another sign that it's some emotion or something that somebody can't handle. It's almost like they don't want to see it. So they close their eyes, looks away, flexes his jaw, and he says, no, that's not what I'm saying. But as he says no, he's shaking his head yes. You know, or I'm sorry, like this. He's shaking yes instead of no. And so it throws him completely off guard. And at this point, Clinton goes back to being very uncomfortable, and he tries to bring it back around. And the very, very last segment, let me pull this my notes up here because it was very interesting. He asks him, at one point, if there were aliens, if he would tell us. That to me felt like it was not very convincing at all. And then we have right here, let's see. So he nods his head no. At the same time, I guess that was the second portion. At any rate, there's two portions where basically he is shaking his head in the opposite direction of what he's saying. So we look for these incongruences. And the body typically will leak out truth where we're verbally hearing different messages. So it doesn't mean that he has evidence of UFOs or aliens. What it does mean, though, I think pretty conclusively, is that these are very stressful questions for him. I find it very likely he's been told something. Maybe he's been told, don't ask anymore. You know, don't worry about it, Mr. President. We've got it handled. And he's been told kind of where a line is, because you can see him kind of approaching a line during the show. And then I also sense frustration. And that would be congruent with what we know about him seeking out the files. I see frustration that maybe he felt he was being lied to, or he was trying information, and then he was stonewalled. And so you can see all of these things playing out in the interview.
Well, there's Stephen Bassett did the congressional hearing, the UFO Congress over there in Washington, D.C., and there was information that came out that Bill and Hillary Clinton wanted to find out about the UFO phenomenon way before the second term, like Bill Clinton states in his testimony with Jimmy Kimmel, that they were really interested in it long before he even became president. And once he did become president, he really wanted to find out. What does that got to say for the United States of America when basically a president's not even allowed into Area 51, and Obama just this year finally acknowledged that it exists?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy, and when you hear people talking about shadow governments and all this, and you think, whoa, that's way out there. Well, what else would you maybe call it if you've got a group of people, of secret keepers, who won't even tell the president? Grant Cameron has done a lot of research into this. And I've had other people tell me their fathers, for example, who've been in high ranks and you know, need to know basis, where kind of the idea is that certain presidents are told more than others. But if the president makes a sort of a mission like Clinton did, and we know he was interested, like I point out in the video, I was talking to Don Schmidt, who wrote the book with Kevin Randall, UFO Crash at Roswell. And they're kind of the foremost authorities on Roswell, and Clinton had that book in his study, and when they subpoenaed the records and they wanted him to go get the sex book, you know, that Monica Lewinsky gave him, it was right next to the UFO book. We know that he commissioned or sent a delegate of one of the Rockefellers to go look into some of this stuff, and now he's acknowledged it. That's what we believe when he says, I sent someone or sent people. We believe that's part of this initiative. So we know that we know that other presidents have tried. We know, for example, like Barry Goldwater and his efforts to get into Wright-Patterson, and he was told, no, you're not going there. You know, so it would be very frustrating, I think. But what's even more interesting is that they're told something. They're told enough to say, look, don't keep pushing it. It's okay. There's reasons why we're not going to disclose it, and they roll over. The most powerful, you know, position in the world, the President of the United States, and they roll over for these people. So in the interview, I mean, what's hard to detect, you're sensing the apprehension. But is it apprehension because, one, he's worried that the people wouldn't be able to handle the truth? Two, is he worried that he's been made, there's threats against him and what would happen to him personally if he said anything? We just can't really get inside his head to know where all this stress is coming from.
Yeah, it's a fascinating world we're living in right now. The big governments. We're just watching on 60 Minutes last night, the 3 Minutemen missiles and the people that are standing by down in the missile silos ready to launch, and everything's outdated. They're working with 1960s technology with these state-of-the-art weapons, and things are falling apart. And then they talk about close calls. There was an actual hydrogen bomb that was dropped by accident on the United States of America. We just found out about that last night, and it didn't go off thanks to the geniuses of the 1960s scientists with the fail-safe. But wow, a hydrogen bomb dropped in the United States, and all this crazy stuff. And we're not being allowed and being told the truth of what's going on, and even these people in high powers as presidents aren't allowed. Hey, Ben, I really want to thank you for joining us right here at Third Phase of Moon. Appreciate your hard work. You've been working hard on this subject matter for many years. You keep in touch, and we want you to go over some of these incredible videos that are submitted to Third Phase, and you analyze them, and you let us know in the future what you think these possible UFOs in the skies are. Ben?
Sounds good. I'd love to. Thanks for having me on, guys. And if anyone wants more information, stay tuned, because we will be putting out some more on this case. And I believe the Huffington Post will be doing a story with us as well.
Absolutely. And for the Jimmy Kimmel, Bill Clinton analysis by Ben Henson, we're going to have the link below in the description. Don't forget and watch it. It's absolutely incredible. Good job, Ben. And if anybody out there has captured anything amazing in regards to the UFO phenomenon, contact Third Phase of Moon via Skype, Facebook, Twitter. Everybody keep your eyes on the skies. My name is Blake Cousins, and we'll see you again next time. By popular demand, we are pleased to announce the Third Phase of Moon album is finally featured on iTunes. With all your favorite songs and themes you hear on the top UFO channel on YouTube, Third Phase of Moon. Out of This World soundtracks composed by master artist Paul Barrett. With 12 remastered and extended cuts to enjoy. Download them now, exclusive on iTunes. Click the link in the description below. Now listen for yourself, heard by millions around the world, Paul Barrett's album, Third Phase of Moon.